Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of Real Estate in Real Life. Last week, we sat down with Rianne Smith, one of our top performing agents in the company on the Palm Jumeirah. Today, we're very lucky to be sitting down with one of our area managers, which is Jason Barrowclough. He is the area manager for Meydan, District 1, Soba, and the Dubai Creek Harbour. And on top of that, they're also the #1 lead generators in all of Dubai. So it's a very exciting episode today. Stay tuned. So Jason, really exciting to have you here. I guess I'll start with the first question, which is, what was life like growing up in the UK for you, and what's led you to, being in Dubai?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Up until the age of sort of 25, 26, you don't really think there's anything else out there, but it was good. I'm from a town called Burnley, a small town in the UK, but, it's home for me. But, life was good. Always played football all my life, very sporty, not very academic, I wouldn't say. I got by, but not the cleverest kid in school. But yeah, always sports, played football. To be honest with you, I wanted to be a professional footballer up until the age of sort of 19, 20. That was the plan. But, as you get older, it starts to drift away. But yeah, it was good. A great family, great friends around me. But then, I got to the age of sort of 22, 23. That was when life got serious, where you had to get a job. The dream of being a footballer kind of ended. So it was good, but like you said, you don't know any different. You don't think there's anything else out there. So started my first real job was a call center, I'd say. So I sat there selling insurance with a headset on. So a lot different to what I'm doing now. But that's where it all started, to be fair. I think at that age, there's so much I learned from that job. Working in a call center, for £1,000 a month, just scraping by, walking to work, going out, spending my money, alcohol, parties, getting the latest All Saints t-shirt. But at the time, you didn't realize actually the foundation work you were putting in. And then at the age of 25, went into car sales. So I'd say that was my real serious job. And then, did that for around 5 years. And then obviously led me to where I am today. So obviously we'll go into that a little bit further. But listen, great upbringing, amazing family, amazing friends, sports all my life. So no complaints whatsoever.
Amazing. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jace, for a bit of insight into what makes you you. That brings me on to question 2. So you went into car sales, you started your sales career. What led you to coming to Dubai, and was real estate your first choice when doing that?
Yeah, so I'd say lockdown was the biggest impact and the decision maker of coming to Dubai, I'd say, because I was happy in car sales. I think in the UK you can, if you don't have a degree, or if you don't have a specific title, then car sales is quite easy and you can earn a lot of money from it in the UK. But working every weekend, and it got tedious. So I was 29 at the time. I moved to Dubai, and I got to a stage in my life where I thought there's got to be more. There has to be more out there. I'm very, very ambitious. Obviously, watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, Instagram, etc. And lockdown, you spend so many hours stuck inside your bedroom. I moved back to my parents at the time as well, so it was quite a low in my life. I'll be honest with you. I had a business as well, which wasn't really working out. We tried, but it got to a point. I was on YouTube. At the time, Dubai was the only place that was open. Everyone flying to Dubai, everyone in the UK stuck indoors, can't even leave your house. So it led me on to watching YouTube about sales, Dubai real estate. Came across a couple of profiles, and I thought, you know what? If anybody can do that, it's definitely me. It just looked perfect for me. I was single at the time as well, so no ties, and it was a no-brainer. So anyway, fast forward a few months. Middle of lockdown, I thought, here we go, let's get a one-way ticket. Never been to Dubai before as well, didn't know anybody. I just thought it's time, let's get a ticket and let's make it. I think I came out with like £3,000 or £4,000, just enough to keep me going for the first month or two. And it was either just make it or
Make or break.
Make or break, yeah, for sure. But I had no second thoughts that it wouldn't work. But Dubai real estate was the only choice I had. There was nothing else that I came here for, and there's definitely no turning back now.
Well, it's paid off so far.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 2.5 years and things are going well, for sure. Yeah, best move I ever made, 100%. It's scary, when you go back. you go back to my parents' old house, and I sit back in that bedroom where I spent all of lockdown by myself. People will understand from the UK how dark that was. It was horrible, and a lot of people had time by themselves in their own head, and I think a lot of people made so many changes from that. But stepping back into that bedroom, I sit there and I think, I can't believe how much has changed in 2.5 years. But yeah, it's an absolute blessing, and I genuinely feel like it's just got started as well. But
Amazing.
it's good to go back as well. It's good to go back. See, it puts you back into reality, a reminder as well, and it shows you how far you've come as well.
So during lockdown, it was obviously a tough time for a lot of people in the UK. It opened a lot of people's eyes. We saw a lot of people moving here. But when you are stuck at home, a lot of people were watching Selling Sunset, seeing things like $1 Million Listing out there, and then they come here, and it's a very different thing. What's your comparison between those sort of things and Dubai real estate, coming from someone that still does it every single day?
Yeah. So I mean, Selling Sunset, again, that was a lockdown show. That I think that was the hit of it, and I think that also gave me a bit of inspiration when you saw the commission that they were earning. Obviously, listen, the fancy cars, Ferraris, the nice $1 billion, mansions that they're in. Listen, it's not the reality straight away. Obviously, yes, you can get to that, and it takes time. But I think the commission that you can earn is definitely true. People, you see thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars earned on commission, and people think that can't be true, but it is. That's the beauty of Dubai real estate. You can earn what you want. There's absolutely no cap on it. But I'll be honest, the first 2 to 3 years are tough. You need to, you're not turning up in a Ferrari on the first day. Literally the first 12 months, I was in a little Chevy Spark, a little rental car. Everybody knows what one of those is, and you're living month by month. That's the reality of it. But people who can get through those first 12 months, then you're on for a successful career. Because I think that's the truth. I think the first 12 months are the hardest. Once you get past that, then the opportunity you've got is massive. But some people just don't quite get past that, or they'll come to Dubai with the wrong mindset. They'll come and they'll want to go to the nice beach clubs every weekend and buying the nice Louis Vuitton bag and all that sort of stuff. And I guess it depends what your reasons are. But yeah, Selling Sunset. Listen, obviously it's a great TV show. I think Dubai real estate probably tops it in my opinion, because the what can be achieved over here. But the difference between that and the reality, it is different. But obviously people need to come out and experience it themselves to make their own decision.
Definitely. Understood. 100%. So that takes me on to Jason. You're obviously an extremely high performer. You've smashed it since the moment I met you. And I think you've smashed it since the moment you came into Dubai real estate. You're one of the people that get it.
Yeah.
I'd describe it as. What are the challenges? Because even someone as high a performer as you, there's still challenges.
Of course. Yeah, no, for sure. And some people will look at, I guess, the last 12 months and the success that I've had and thought it's luck. It's definitely not. Right at the start, I was doing rentals, running around till midnight for 1,000 dirham fee. That's the truth of it. And I mean, I'm 31 now. At the time, I was 29, 30 years old. That's the reality, but you have to do that. I think the biggest challenges are, I think the language barrier sometimes can be tough with sellers. Obviously, a lot of British agents, if the sellers of the properties are foreign, Indian, Chinese, Russian, sometimes you struggle with that to build that relationship. Like you come across so genuine, but because of the language barrier, they don't see that. I'd say that's a big challenge. Right at the start as well, Dubai can be a lonely place. Obviously I came here by myself, but again, I was at an age where I'd done everything. I'd been partying. I'd had my friends. All my friends were getting married and having kids and stuff. So I was like a bit of a lone wolf. But that's how I grew, and obviously amazing people around me now. But I think at the start, be prepared to spend a bit of time by yourself, which I think can be a good thing. But I'd say those are the biggest challenges. And let's call a spade a spade. At the start, it is expensive to live in Dubai. That's the reality. So keeping your head above water, paying your rent, paying your car, living life. Obviously, people come over here with debt in the UK as well. So sending money back home. Sorry. So I'd say, those are the biggest challenges. But again, if you've got the right mindset, it is going to take time. You're not going to be a millionaire overnight. And the rest is for you to find out.
Yeah. So it can be tough. It can be lonely. It can be a place where there's a lot of pressure, and especially doing our job, there's no salary.
Yeah.
It's performance based or commission based.
Yeah.
What keeps you going? And is this job life-changing?
Yeah, 100%. When I look at myself where I am today compared to 2-3 years ago, it's worlds apart. It is life changing, and if you work hard enough, you've got the right mindset. You can earn life changing money at this age. I've just bought a house in the UK. X, Y, and Z. I won't go into that, but there's a lot happening, and it's all because of this job. So yeah, 100%. Some people think, oh, you can't earn the money that you can earn over here. People are talking nonsense on Instagram. It's not really like that, but believe me, it is. It really is life changing. And what keeps me in real estate? I mean, listen, there's no other job that pays as well as this. There isn't. When I look at the money that I've earned, that people have earned in the UK, you'd have to work like 5 years to 10 years to earn what you can earn in 1 month over here, tax free. And listen, forget the money for a second. The lifestyle that Dubai offers you, there's nowhere else in the world that I think that can offer this. The freedom that you've got, the opportunity that you've got, and the one big thing that I like about Dubai is everyone is like-minded. Everyone is positive. Everybody wants to succeed. It's business, business, business. And listen, some people might not want that lifestyle. People want the family lifestyle and the walks through the countryside. And of course, that's down to them. But for anybody that's hungry, that wants to succeed, that's into business, Dubai is definitely the number one place in the world. And I think with real estate, like I said, your life can change within a day, a month, literally it can change. One phone call can lead you on to so much business and so much opportunity, so much money. So yeah, there's no stepping out of this game for me. Definitely not for the next 10 years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then you'll be retired.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the plan, 10-year plan by the time I'm 40. Definitely not retired. I'd be bored out of my head. I think I'd spend too much time on the golf course, but yeah, it's an incredible opportunity that we've got over here. I don't think we realize sometimes what we've got, and for the next few years, definitely look exciting for sure. But yeah, there's definitely no stepping away from this.
So what does the next year look like for you? You're already, the Maidan man on Instagram. You've built an amazing brand for yourself. You're making life-changing money. You've got a team who work, alongside you that you're running, and those guys are going from strength to strength and absolutely smashing it. I'm not embarrassed to say that I believe White & Co has the strongest team in that area at the moment, and it's only going to get better. Where do you see yourself in the next year? And just know that a year from now, when we look back at this, I'll be holding you to it.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, thank you for the compliments. Listen, it's, so much has changed in the last 12 months itself. So, obviously very, very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. Obviously I've worked hard for that, but, I've got a great team around me, obviously taking on a new role as area manager. So trying to build these guys, team of 14, 15 now, trying to build these guys up to the standards that I've set. So listen, 12 months is quite a short amount of time. I'd say I'd love to have a team of 25 to 30 under me. I'd love to do that. I'd love to have a few more agents, reaching the levels that I've reached in the last 12 months for sure. And, obviously there's exciting things coming for White & Co. I know about that. That's exciting. And, of course, on a personal note, I'd love to triple the money that I'm earning now. And, the contacts that we've got, because, I think it gets to a point in real estate where it becomes more than the money. My personal brand, of course, I'd love to, triple the audience there. I'd love to do things like this more often. And, it's very exciting. It's very, very exciting times. Obviously, White & Co offer an amazing platform financially, little things like this, offices X, Y, and Z. So it's, it's exciting times. But, the team that we've got now, I definitely think they're in it for the long haul, sorry. And again, I guess a big one would be, to have that number one market share for the area. I think if we can get a 20 to 25% hold of Maidan, Shoba, Creek Harbour, then we've got an amazing name for ourselves. Yeah. And, obviously that's a big number, of course, but it's definitely achievable, 100%. And I think, again, with what the company offers, we will start to get some of the bigger and better agents out there. And obviously we'll grow our own agents as well. So exciting times, that's for sure.
Definitely. I completely agree. And you never need to thank us for it because you put in the hard work and the other guys at the office do. Yeah. From my selfish perspective, I see the money that comes in, but we reinvest that wholeheartedly into you guys because We're only 2.5 years old.
Yeah,
You know, we're going to be very far ahead soon,
for sure.
which I'm excited about.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, I can absolutely back that as well. You know, the pace that White and Co has grown in the last 2 years is scary. You know, obviously we look at the stats and the lead generation, and you know, when we interview people and for the area especially, I think why would you go anywhere else? You know,
It wouldn't make sense.
It just doesn't make sense. You know, the commission splits, the incentives, like I said, the lead generation, being number one in the area. It's, you know, again, it's only a matter of time until we do get that market share. And I think when we get that, that's when it starts to get exciting, especially for me as a luxury villa broker. You know, I want to establish myself more in that sense as well. Obviously, I moved away from apartments to villas over the last 12 months, and you know, again, it's paid off massively. But again, of course, I want to keep pushing. I'm not happy with where I am. I want to keep pushing and onto that luxury side. You know, over the next 12 to 18 months, that will definitely be happening.
Fantastic. Now, this is actually a question that I hadn't prepped you for or sent you anything about. It's just I'm sitting here and it's came to me, and you know what I'm like, a bit impulsive.
Freestyle.
But yeah, exactly. The brand that you've created for yourself, Maidan Man, and the leads that you get from there, and the money that you've been able to generate on top of building your own platform. Now, tell me a bit about that. Why have you done that? What are you seeing from that? And how does that help or affect your business?
Yeah, good question. I mean, before I moved to Dubai, I had a clothing brand and we're doing very, very well on Instagram. You know, so I had a lot of experience from that, managing that account for 3 years. And I saw the success of that through social media, and I knew how big it was. So when I came over here, you know, you look at some of the big stars in the game, you know, they've all got social media platforms. You think of their name before you think of the company that they work for, you know. So I knew straight away I needed to have a personal brand as well. As much as I work for White & Co, people don't deal, my sellers and my buyers don't deal with White & Co, they deal with Jason. So, and you know, Grant Cardone speaks about it, who's a big inspiration of mine. But when people think of sales, they think of him. So I wanted to be that guy. As soon as people think of Maidan, I want to be
the Maidan man.
That's it, you know. And it's crazy. Like I said, some people don't know my name.
No,
you know, people think I'm called Maidan Man, and it's, you know, it's nice to have. And listen, I don't care. People might like it, people might not. It brings me business. Happy days.
Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter.
Exactly.
So just keep doing what you're doing, because we've seen the results. And when you see that board and see what you get from it, it's phenomenal.
It adds value as well, Cal. You know, when I get a new listing or I get a new inquiry, straight away I send them my Instagram profile, because I know no agents will be doing that.
Really?
And you know, these people are millionaires, billionaires that are doing this. If you just do something a little bit different, because people buy off people. You know, they'll look, okay, this guy, he does this, he's into.
How are you separating yourself from every other agent?
He's genuine. He's real. You know, they can go on my social media. I put my personal life on there as well. It's not just about business. It's about me. And you know what? People who are into that, they'll stick with me. People that might not like that, they were never meant for me in the first place. You know, so. Biggest advice. Well, one of the pieces of advice for new starters: create your own brand. And like I said, I've been going 2.5, 3 years now. I've got a nice little following, but you know, again, it's going to grow. That's another point to add on to, you know, building that brand over the next 12 months for sure.
Amazing. Well, I've watched it happen, and it's exciting. So it's really good.
No,
so you're performing. You told me it's tough at the beginning. What's your why? Everyone's got a why. What's the reason that you put the hours in? What's the reason that you don't leave the office every day at 5 o'clock and sneak off? Or what's the reason you're one of the first in there? What's your why, and what keeps you going through the tough times of real estate?
I think it goes back to you know, your upbringing. I think it comes from where you've come from as a child, and you know, your surroundings that you found yourself in. I think to be ambitious and want to succeed, I think you've got it in you. I think you can maybe teach it a little bit, but I think you've either got it or you haven't, in my opinion. You know, some people, they don't want to be successful. To a certain extent, they're happy being comfortable, and it's just not for me. You know, I've always wanted to be successful. I've always wanted to be the best in the room. I'm so competitive, and you know, I could never let that drop. I could never be average. It just would eat away at me. And, you know, obviously I learned that over the last 10 years, I'd say, since getting a proper job. I've learned that, and, you know, there's just no hiding it. So my biggest why is, you know, just wanting to succeed. It was a non-negotiable. I had to make it happen. Came from a working class family. You know, I had the best upbringing. Didn't have a lot of money, just got by. you know. But obviously my parents definitely did their best, and I wouldn't change my childhood for anything. You know, I had the most amazing childhood. You know, there was no social media back then, so just out in the streets playing around and living like that. But you know, we could never do the nice things. You know, obviously the fancy holidays, the nice clothes. You know, it was always a case of let's wait till payday, and you know, we'll get my mum and dad would get me a little treat, and then you'd see how the next 3 weeks go until payday again. So it was kind of a reason that I wanted to change that title for my family. You know, obviously people will know I've just bought my parents a house, which, you know, massive tick box for me. That was the first thing I wanted to do. And, you know, I am changing the story, if that makes sense, changing the story of where we're going. And that's a big inspiration for me, definitely. Just
You're giving me goosebumps.
Yeah,
here.
I just want to. That's it. Yeah, it's true though. You know, my parents, the best parents in the world. You know, I love them to death, and they've given me and my sister absolutely everything. Believe me, they've taken us to football training when, you know, they've had no money. Looked after my sister. She did dancing and paid for her dresses, etc. So I just want to give back a little bit. But then obviously from a personal side of it, of course, as you know, I've got a baby on the way. So
hey, congrats.
That's it. Yeah, baby girl due in December. So, you know, that's the why was already there before that, but now that's even another level. Okay, let's step it up a level. Let's make sure she gets an amazing life. And, you know, of course, listen, you need to have loved ones around you. Otherwise what's the point? You know, you need to have loved ones around you. So, you know, holidays, things like that, taking people away, treating my parents to X, Y, and Z, and my family, my friends, and just living an amazing life. You know, I think that's the biggest push. Coming from a small town, Burnley, you know, I wanted to really become successful because the people that I followed on social media, I saw that they've done it. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, they've done it.
There's nothing that can stop you.
There's nothing that can stop you. You know, I think your mindset, your belief. However, I think there's only certain places in the world that can offer this, and Dubai 100% can offer that. There's nowhere in the UK, staying in the UK can give you that financial freedom and that financial vehicle to do what you can. And without making that move, without starting your own business, you could never do it. You know, I think you can't just go work for somewhere in the UK as an employee and earn and change your life. In my opinion, you can have a very comfortable life, but to really change your life and become that 1%. It's not possible, and I know that for a fact, unless, like I said, you have your own business. So just that hunger in me, that's my why. I wake up every day and I want to be the best. You know, I want to see what you've done and I want to replicate that. I want to see what, you know, these guys are doing. I'm like, okay, I know I'm good enough to do that. Self-belief is massive. Some people might think it's cocky, but it's not. It's confidence.
But you back it up with stats.
Yeah,
you back
exactly.
it up with the figures, and
for
that's the thing.
And people that know me know I'm not cocky at all.
No,
you know,
no.
they know I'm a hard worker. You know, I've come from nothing. Yeah. That's the truth. And I've seen, you know, my family struggle, and that won't happen. Yeah. You know, that's
well, Jace, just obviously I'm not the kind of guy that blows smoke up your arse, but you know, the way you conduct yourself as a professional, as a manager, as a leader, and as a broker is phenomenal, and your parents would obviously be or are.
Yeah.
So hugely proud of you, and it's just nice hearing you know, talking about them like that, and they'll obviously see this, and they'll all be chuffed. But it's amazing, mate. It really is.
No, it's a blessing, you know. But those little stories, you know, they never forget you, and you think about them every single day. You know, the times that we struggled and saw my parents battle it out and work like so many jobs, and
you're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I wouldn't change a thing.
No.
I would not change a thing. You know,
it's made you who you are.
Exactly. I loved the upbringing that I had, and I would not have changed that because it's giving me that relentlessness to go on and, you know,
do what you've done.
Do what I've done. Exactly.
Amazing, man. What an answer.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Yeah, it's the truth, you know. So that's
what we want to hear. That's the whole point of doing this. Is you know,
the reality.
I want the truth from each of the brokers. I don't want anything fluffy. I want to hear it seriously, and it's going to resonate with a lot of people. Because one reason why we've grown so fast and we are at the level we are is it's raw. What we're doing here is not polished. It's not shiny. White & Co's never been a company that's we're corporate. Look at us. We want real people. And real estate, and that's what we're sort of doing.
One thing just to add, Cal, you know, it just made me think there with what you said is there was something that Stephen said. Obviously, we spoke about him previous, and when he was like struggling right at the start, he had nothing, and he he was like living in this fairy tale world where he knew like I think he opened his fridge and he had like some butter there. That was it. And he was filming it. And he was like, he knew that one day he'd be able to tell this story. And it's such a weird thing, but I promise you now, like genuinely, I knew I'd get to a certain level. Like I remember being in the UK, having no money, you know, having this. And I was, you know, filming it. I was taking selfies and writing dates. And this is what is going on. I've got X amount of money, like can't even afford to pay my phone. But I'd take a picture of it because I knew one day I'd be able to change that script. And, you know, where I am today, obviously I'm not even at the finish line, nowhere near to the finish line, of course. And I'm not saying I've made it in any way, but I knew it was coming. I knew this life was going to come, and I knew, you know, this. There
was never a plan B for you.
Yeah, no, not a chance. And I knew coming to Dubai, there was only a plan A.
Yeah.
I had to make it work. And you know, it's amazing looking back, but it's exciting as well because nobody else knows it. Obviously, you live with yourself every day. You're in your own mindset, and you know, sometimes I sit there and I think, okay, yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, it's starting to look good.
Amazing. So you are a new broker. You're looking at move to Dubai. You've just watched Jason talking about how amazing it is. What would you be searching for if you're looking for a company to work for out here?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, do your research. You know, don't just go off Instagram or what looks flashy, and you know, there's more to it than that. I'd say if you're looking to move to Dubai or you're already in Dubai looking for a company, I'd say honestly, selfishly, interview with 5 different companies. You know, at the end of the day, the company needs to be right for you as much as you're right for the company. So be selfish. You're an asset to the company at the end of the day, in my opinion. You know, we are kind of self-employed in this job, so I would say do your research. I'd say choose an environment that suits you. You know, the culture is massive. You know, obviously there's agencies out here, example like White & Co, very British. You know, maybe that suits you. Maybe that doesn't suit you. There's other companies out there that aren't so, you know, with a different culture, for example. So, you know, do your research. Make sure you're comfortable with wherever you're going. In terms of opportunity, go with a company that there's no roof on commission that you can earn. You know, there's no lid on that. They don't hold you back. So don't go to a company that, you know, if there's a certain commission split that you have to keep it hush hush.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this opportunity in Dubai, things can change very, very quickly. In 6 to 12 months, you can be, you know, being an average broker to being a very, very successful broker. So make sure you can go somewhere that gives you that opportunity to grow, that you've got a clear, you know, ladder that you can grow. So that's a big, big thing for me. I think, you know, that was one of the big reasons I came to White & Co. The opportunity that you guys give with the commission structure and the incentives, etc. Of course, I think anybody would be stupid not to say they don't want to earn more money.
Yeah.
We're in a sales job. We want to earn more money. So, yeah, that's a big thing. But yeah, listen, environment is everything. Energy doesn't lie with your directors, your salespeople. And, you know, like I said, it is tough at the start. You don't want to just get chucked a laptop and a notepad and crack on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the start, again, I was more experienced, but these 20-year-olds come in. You know, we've got 20-year-olds on our team. And I think to myself, like, some of these kids could have been chucked in an office where they've got no support. You know, nobody cares about them. And, you know, some of these kids can't even, like, you know, they can't get to the end of the month and pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very, very important that you know, you're around support. Do a little bit of research, and also speak to brokers.
That's what my next point was, because Rianne had said that last week. She'd said, you know, reach out to the guys, and something I think I pride myself on in White & Co in general is I'm not worried of anyone reaching out to any of our brokers.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm sitting going, I hope they don't speak to anyone.
Yeah.
I want you to, because
find the truth.
that's it. And I don't want people under a false pretense. That's how I came to Dubai.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you there, Jace. They should really reach out to people that are already in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. And don't rush into it. You know, I'd say come out for a few weeks, try and come out on holiday if you can afford that. Speak to these brokers and, you know, spend a little bit of time, you know, see if you can spend, you know, 10, 15 minutes having a chat with one of the brokers at your interview stage. You know, I'm sure that'll be possible.
I'm sure they'll find time.
And, you know, especially if people don't want to offer that, that's a red flag straight away. So, yeah, be patient with it, especially if you've got the mindset for Dubai real estate to be the long run. You want to be here for 5+ years. You don't want to be, you know, believe me when I say you don't want to be bouncing around from company to company. It's a headache, new visas, all that. So, yeah, be patient with it. And yeah, you'll find the right spot.
You made a very good point there, Jace. Like if this is a long-term plan for you and the company you're going to meet can't find 10 minutes to let a broker have a sit down with you, then it's definitely a red flag there.
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah.
But fantastic answer, and it's good to see a different view. You know, as every week that I'm doing this, I'm finding another answer, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So Jace, same as you, same as me, we've both made the jump, came over here, newbies, never done it before, and that's the way that everyone in Dubai real estate has to start.
Yeah.
Because it's so severely different from any other industry in the world, I feel like. Sales is sales, but then you come out here and it's just a different world. What advice would you give to the new, hungry, young broker that's just decided they want to come over here and change their life?
Yeah. So again, I can talk off experience and, talk about the first 3 months that I did. I'd say, come with an expectation that you are going to, need to be the hardest worker in the room. It's not going to be an easy ride. You need to be working the weekends. You can't be going to beach clubs every single weekend at the start. You can do, but, I don't think you'll last very long. So I'd say make sure you're prepared to build a foundation. Give yourself 12 months in the industry where it's just tunnel vision. First one in, last one out, making the most amount of phone calls, just being relentless with it. And also, I'd say become obsessed with your area. So pick an area, commit to it, don't jump around. You might think, oh, there's big villas on the Palm, I want to do that, or there's nice fancy apartments in downtown. Listen, go wherever you want to go, but be passionate about it. Go to an area where you could see yourself living yourself, because when you're speaking to these clients, it comes across. Like I said, energy doesn't lie, and that's a big, big factor. And, pick an area that you can see yourself growing with as well. You want to be there for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's a big one. And, stay humble. Stay humble at the start. If you do a couple of nice deals, don't be buying Rolexes straight away, fancy cars. I see it happen. And then guess what? You have 2-3 months where it's quiet and, you're having to sell that watch or get rid of that car. It happens. So stay humble, keep your feet on the ground, be the hardest worker in the room. Say yes to everything as well. That's a big one. Say yes to everything, because again, it's another quote I heard from another broker speak about it on YouTube. He said, the awkward conversations, that's where the money lies. So put yourself in them awkward conversations. It's a new surrounding for you. You're around rich people, and it can be uncomfortable, but get yourselves into them rooms. Say yes to every opportunity, even though you might have to drive to Sharjah at 12 o'clock at night. I've done that to pick up checks. It's a bit nerve wracking, but the next day you're there with the commission check and you're winning. So yeah, those are the big things. Just head down, hardest worker in the room, and put yourself in them awkward positions.
Yeah, amazing, fantastic. And I've got a saying that I'm often saying to the newer brokers: it's if you come here and treat this like a holiday, it will be a holiday.
Correct.
And no one really believes you when you go back home and people go, oh, what happened in Dubai? And they go, oh, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
When really, we see it. It's this job has a formula to it.
Yeah.
And if you do the formula and you follow the formula, you will make money.
Of course.
The only way that you will not make money is if you get distracted by beach clubs and the next thing and the next thing. So we're on the same page there, Jay.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, it's hard, obviously I came out again at an age where I'd done all of that. So all for me was just money, success. I just wanted to make it work.
Now we've got 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds in the teams, and I can imagine
it's hard. They've got maybe some money from mum and dad, taken care of, or I can go to the beach clubs and stuff. But listen, it's gonna, we see it. You've seen it. You see people come and people go, and they only last a certain amount of time, because it's not healthy. Listen, work hard and you will get treated. You will get rewarded, and then you can go and, treat yourself to this and that. But again, it comes down to people's why. But one thing I will say is Dubai, it finds people out.
Yeah. Do your intentions match your actions?
Exactly.
Or your actions match your intentions? Because a lot of people talk about wanting to achieve something, but do they put in the work?
Exactly. And then, these people who are like that, they'll be on a flight back home very, very shortly, or they'll be over here and, they can get themselves into debt, etc. So, we're in a commission only job. So come out with the right intentions, stay humble, and keep your feet on the ground.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a fantastic advice for a new broker. I completely agree. So Jace, we've spoke about, you said that some people either have it or they don't. A little bit of it can be taught, some of it can. Do you think this industry is for everyone?
No, is the answer. It's not for everyone. I think you have to have a certain relentless to succeed at this job. There's so many knockbacks. You're there, you think you're there with the check in your hand, and there's no loyalty in this game as well. But it's not for everyone. I think, again, it depends what the time of your life you're in. Some people will look at how flashy Dubai is and, the sun, the weather, the nice suits, the nice cars, and they might think that they want that. But then when it gets down to actually putting in the work, it's tough. You know, again, there's a quote. I keep going back to quotes. I'm a big fan of quotes, but my old boss actually told me, he said, everybody wants to be a real estate broker until it's time to be a real estate broker, you know? So everybody loves the flashy title, the Instagram bio, the Twitter handle, luxury real estate broker. Come on, it's not the reality. So I think, listen, if you want it hard enough, I think you can do anything in life. Yeah. I think if you want it hard enough, you surround yourself with the right people, and you know, the opportunity is there. So some people might think this, and you know, I think I've got it, but I'm a bit nervous. Or worst case, go back home. Yeah. You know, worst case, it doesn't work out for you, but you got to take that leap. So yeah, it's not for everyone. It can get lonely at times as well, and it can get, you know, demoralizing where you're so close to a deal and so many things you've done right, had so many knockbacks, and then you get that other knockback. But believe me, keep going. Yeah. You know, just keep on going. It will happen.
So that's something, this isn't a question I've asked you already. Do you think that people give up before they reach that point because of the knockbacks? Yeah,
correct. And again, some people do give up because of the knockbacks. They're not mentally stable enough, or they're not
resilient.
They're not resilient. Yeah, that's the right word. But again, it comes down to how much experience you've got. You know, again, I'm 10 years in sales, so I've had a lot of knockbacks. I've started businesses that haven't worked out. So I feel like I'm untouchable. I think you have to have that mindset, especially if you look at the top. Let's say the real estate, you know, anybody can come in and be a real estate broker, anybody. But to get to that top, say 10% of real estate agents, these guys or girls have, you know, they've had so many no's, they've had so many knockbacks. So you have to be prepared to get used to them no's. You know, you need to be, you know, with a mindset where, okay, I'm going to take 9 no's, but that 10th one's going to be a yes. And then we just rinse and repeat that. So, but again, it depends what you want. If you want a comfortable life, go and do a comfortable, go and do a comfortable job. But if you want to earn life-changing money and you want this lifestyle and this freedom, because believe me, I've worked every weekend in car sales, in the rain, moving cars, working every Sunday. Couldn't go out on a Saturday night because I had to work at 10 a.m. Everybody knows that. But, you know, now I don't really work weekends, you know, Friday night.
You've earned it.
Yeah, exactly. Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, I'm doing my thing. I'm chilling, you know. I don't go to beach clubs really. I don't drink, but I do my own thing, and yeah, best job in the world.
Amazing. Another phenomenal answer. I'm just getting a fountain of knowledge from you.
I love
constant.
It, man. Could go all day.
Yeah. So, Jace, we've spoken a lot about the new broker coming into the market, or the person who's just moving. What does it take to be a top 1% agent in the market?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I definitely don't see myself as a top 1% agent yet. I know I'm going to get there, but again, it comes down to that relentlessness where you don't care whoever's giving you those no's or those nutbacks. And, you know, you look at, for example, my area, you look at a 50 million, 60 million dirham villa. Are you scared to go and knock on the door and speak to the owner? That's the difference. You know, are you willing to do that? Okay, you might not have the biggest track record, but are you happy to make that phone call, or have you put in your mindset, no, I'm not there yet, I'm not good enough, you know? But time in the game is a big one, but I think also is the value to your name as well. Like for me, I always tell my team, you know, never, ever, ever let one deal give you a bad reputation, you know, because there's always going to be more deals, but as soon as you've ruined your reputation, your name, you're dead. You know, like people can, you know, you can screw over other agents, you know, you can go behind the back, go do this, do that, go for a quick win. Long term, it's not going to happen.
Especially if you want to last in this game.
Exactly. Contacts are everything. Believe me, I've got a phone book of 5 or 6 agents. We trust it. We don't do any A2As. We don't do, and you know, that's
for anyone that doesn't know, that's an agreement between agencies where Jason and that broker would do a 50-50 split.
Yeah, correct. So there's none of that. You know, as soon as I get a listing straight away, guys, I've just got this. This is the villa number. This is the owner's name. What we're doing, you know, and that takes time. So to be that 1%, I think in this job, the longer you stay in it, the easier it becomes. I'll be honest with that. But people just don't get to that stage. You know, they give up just too soon. So, and also, listen, the number one answer, you need to be obsessed with it. You have to live and breathe real estate. You know, there's times where you can't go on date night. You know, you're going to miss things, you know, you can't go on this holiday because you've got X, Y, and Z. And, you know, to be a 1% broker and to be at that top level where you're earning X, Y, and Z, you have to be willing to sacrifice that, you know, and I've never been afraid to do that, but you have to have that want to do it. You know, you can't create it. You have to either want it or you don't. Yeah. And that's the answer.
Amazing. Fantastic. So we've spoken enough about real estate. We've spoken enough about the brokerages. You've now been in Dubai for 2.5 years. What do you have to say about this place? And with a kid on the way, what are you excited about with, the little one growing up here?
So, I mean, the first part of the question, Cal, is, Dubai in itself, for me, it's the best place in the world. What they've created over the last 20, 25 years is incredible. It's got everything. Summertime is hot. That's the only negative, but it's got everything. Anything you want to do, the people, if you want something, it's done like this. The efficiency, coming from the UK, I can only speak about that, but it takes so long to get things done. The negativity, the mood of people, the weather, I'm a big believer that the weather changes people's, mindset. People changes people's, moods and the way they act every single day, being woken up by the sun every single day. It's something as small as that, but you take that for granted, and that is so big, and instantly you're in a good mood, So I'd say that's a big thing. The fact that there's no income tax, there's no cap on that. People who are earning these big salaries back in the UK or other countries, straight away they tax 40-50%. That's the beauty of Dubai, and I'm praying it stays a lot longer. But, what you earn is what you get over here. And listen, the place is so forward thinking. If they've got an idea, it gets done. It gets done. You see the new roads getting built every week.
Yeah.
You go into these malls, it's immaculate. The level of service over here, you're treated like kings. When I first came out over here, I had no money. Everyone at the shop, sir, madam, you're treated so well, and it just continues. Everyone's got the right mindset. So, hats off to Dubai for creating that environment. And there's definitely no going back for me.
Fantastic. So that's on the front of Dubai.
Yeah.
Now, with the little one coming on board, obviously there will be people that want to move here who have families, who have children. Oh, Dubai is not really a children place, or they have this wrong mindset.
Yeah.
What would you say? Because you also sell property in a family area.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously if you came over to Dubai and you saw, right, there's no families living here, you'd be a little bit worried. But, I think the safety comes down to a big thing. You can leave 100 dirhams on the floor. 2 weeks later, it'll still be there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've got a baby on the way, so I can only talk about what I'm expecting. But, going from the families that I sell villas to, level of education, I believe, is incredible. I think that's a big plus. Yes, it's expensive, but you pay for what you get in this world. So if you want that level of education for your children, it's here. The opportunity that can lead on to for the future is going to be massive. And I think the lifestyle as well. I grew up on weekends. If it's raining 80% of the time, you're either stuck in your house playing PlayStation, or you getting out on a bike or whatever. And I think the lifestyle that you have over here, like, especially, I was very sporty growing up, so like the level of facilities over here, the football fields for me, it's like the swimming pools, things like this. I'd love to have grown up in that. Being out, freedom, the sun shining. I think that's a big plus over here, which again, I can only speak about the UK, which that doesn't offer. And I think that will then lead you on to having a bigger and better mindset, and wanting to grow.
Yeah, 100% agree. We agree there. So when you're not brokering, and like you said, you've now earned the right that the weekends have got to yourself and you've got your own time. What do you do in your spare time over here, Jace?
Yeah, so I mean, listen, real estate 24/7. I say I don't work weekends, but I'm 24/7 on my phone. You're up until 2 a.m. on your phone as well. But spare time, listen, I'm a very simple man. People that know me, I'm very, people call me boring, but I just like a nice, easy life. Big fan of golf at the moment. Not great at it, as you know.
Same here, but we're trying.
We're getting better, mate. We're getting better. But yeah, the golf courses are beautiful over here. So for sure, I'm passing on the age where my football career is coming to an end, getting a little bit too old for that. But for the next 20, 30 years, I'll definitely be addicted to golf. I already am. And that's a big one. Obviously, spend time with the missus, and obviously baby on the way. So that's going to be...
Have your hands full.
Yeah, that's going to take a lot of time. So obviously do that. Love walking. Big fan of the marina walk. I think when I first got to Dubai, I was chucked into the marina. So it's like, I don't know, it's like my little go-to. I just spend time walking around the marina. I love it. You see the water, you see the boats, the big buildings. It's like when I first got to Dubai, I look at all of that, and it's incredible. It's like you
pinch yourself moment.
Yeah, you do. You pinch
really
yourself
is.
Because listen, you look at everything on YouTube and on Instagram, and then when you're actually there, it's amazing. So love walks. Obviously got a great friendship group. We chill, you know. Yeah, I love it. Nice little cafes. You know, that's the beauty of Dubai as well. There's never nothing to do.
No.
You know, obviously in winter time, the beach clubs are amazing. Just go and take time down there and reset. But yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, honestly, there's
nowhere else in the world is
nah,
there?
never a dull moment as well in Dubai. You know, everything, there's always something happening. So it's all good.
Amazing. It's just, yeah, the same as me. Pinch me moments over here constantly. So this is one of my favorite questions because obviously we get this quite often when we're recruiting and people want to talk, or I get a lot of messages on Instagram. And if someone's sitting on the fence right now, Jason, and they're thinking about moving to Dubai or getting into real estate or even just leaving their hometown, what advice would you give them as someone who's obviously been through the same thing?
Do it. Yeah, just do it. Honestly, I had the same scenario happen for me. You know, just before I came to Dubai, I got offered a new job at a car dealership, and I went for the interview, and then obviously I had the interview with the real estate company in Dubai, and I promise you it was 50-50 because I thought, play it safe, just do this, get a mortgage in the UK, nice and simple, you know the job, or take that risk and go for it. And I promise you, for anybody watching this or who's on the fence now, please do me a favor and just go for it. Worst case scenario, you go back home. Worst case, you know, 6 months and 12 months, time goes so quick. You know, it's been nearly 3 years since I've been here, but you've got nothing to lose. And I promise you, if you want to change your life and if you want to change, you know, your family's life, your friend's life, and, you know, it's just go for it. You know, you've already spent X amount of time back home, you know, so what's going to change? Nothing's going to change. It's the same. When I go back home now, nothing's different. Everything's exactly the same. And yeah, I think you'd rather have the regret of coming out and it not making it work than staying where you are and always thinking what would have happened. I've got that mindset with everything. I'm one of those who just says yes to everything and worries about it later.
Well, that's the advice you just gave to the brokers, you know, say yes to everything.
Say yes to everything. Put yourself in there because you'll never regret by doing it. You'll always regret not doing it. So I'm a risk taker, a bit of a gambler. Love that. Just go for it and then figure it out later. So just do it, man. And listen, Dubai, it's got everything for you. So yeah, it gets me passionate. It gets me quite angry where people think like, oh no, it's not this, it's not for that. Just do it, man. Have some balls. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, 6 months, you go back to your job.
Oh, I almost went there. Almost.
Sorry, no swearing. But you know what I mean? I get you. Just go for it. Take that risk. Life's too short.
I think we have a problem in other places in the world where they don't want you to leave there.
Yeah.
So, it must not be true over there, or the people out there must not be making that money. Now, I could sit here and lie and pretend every single person in the company makes life-changing money.
Yeah.
But it's the same as every industry.
Yeah.
You know, even just look at the top end of footballers.
Yeah.
The best ones earn the big bucks, but we're not talking about the people that are sitting in Division 4, Division 5.
Yeah.
And they're not earning the same as the first team, you know. And it's funny because real estate, it gets compared that way, that everyone needs to be earning £1 million.
Correct.
Now, everyone doesn't.
Yeah.
But you do have a hell of a lot of people earning a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of them that don't have any education more than anyone else.
Yeah.
They don't have anything special. They've just got hard work and they make things work. And then they learn, they evolve, they take in the skills. So it's definitely something that I've seen over the years. And more people are opening up to the idea of moving to Dubai. We've seen that now. It's crazy.
For sure. And one thing I will say as well is don't let negative people or your friends or your circle talk you out of it. Because, you know, we do get comfortable and sometimes we do things because our friends are doing it. But you know, if you've got the right support and you've got people that want the best for you, they will support you. Because it is tough. You know, listen, it's not easy. You know, leaving the UK, leaving your family, leaving everything that you know, it's tough. And believe me, that first goodbye to your parents, you know, I cried like a baby. Not afraid to admit it. But you know, now look at what's changed, and believe me, you'd rather be in this position. So do your own thing. Don't listen to negative people, and take that leap. Just do it.
Now, this is one of my favorite questions to ask people, and you know, a lot of people might shy away from it. They might not want to say it because they might think it's cocky or, you know, worried about, but people back home, it'll look like we're bragging. It's nothing like that. We just have to open the eyes of people who don't understand. So it's a solid question, but Jason, what's the most amount of commission or money or incentives you've taken home in a month? And I'm talking about a month here, not the year.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I don't mind answering this question. And the reason I don't mind answering it is because, go back to the previous question, people who are on the edge, you know, where they're thinking, should I do it? Should I not? And Cal, we both know last month, That was my personal best. It was 900,000 dirhams on the board. So that's 900,000 dirhams generated in commission. Obviously, with the split that I'm on, I'm a 70% broker. And the incredible incentive that you've got when you come first, you get an extra 10%.
Yeah.
So, 80% of 900,000. So put it into British pounds, it's 150,000 pounds tax free in my pocket in 1 month. And just saying it is scary, when you think of it. But I'm not saying that, and I don't mind saying that, because people that know me, that's why I'm not afraid of it, because people that know me know I don't talk about numbers.
No.
I'm not big-headed, but it's the reality. We're here to earn money, and I think people should know that opportunity is there. Of course, a lot of hard work's gone into that, a lot of relationships being built, and a lot of hours, but that's the opportunity you've got. 150,000 pounds tax-free in 1 month in your pocket.
Yeah.
Let's just put that into perspective. I worked in car sales for 6 years. I probably came out with 30,000 pounds tax-free, after tax, a year.
So it took
that's 5 years.
What you've done in 1 month.
In 1 month to earn the same amount, and that's working every weekend. That's
out in the rain, moving cars.
Yeah. And
Were you happy with that at the time?
In the UK?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, because you don't know any different. It goes back to my very first answer. You don't know any different.
Yeah.
You think that's fine. In the UK, I was one of the top earners, as you think. In my area, listen, the cost of living, etc., I was happy. I was doing what I was doing. I could afford to pay my rent, drive a nice little car, buy a nice t-shirt on a weekend. It's fine. But when you see the opportunity over here, and from day one, I saw that when I was in rentals doing 1,000 dirham deals, it's not always been like that. But when I saw that, and I saw some of the agents, the more experienced agents earning 200, 300,000 dirhams in a month, I was like, no, someone's just earned 20,000 pounds tax free in 1 month. You've got to be kidding me. So I thought, I know I will get there. So last month, absolutely blessed for it to have happened, but I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, and it's
you said it to me. I remember.
It's in. You know what, Cal? It's not the end. That's the benchmark now, and I know over the next years it's gonna keep on going. But listen, I'm very, very blessed with it. I'm very, very happy with it, and we grow from there.
Now, something important that I want to say here, because I want to make sure that people understand this isn't just one good month that you've had, and I drag you in here, come do a podcast because you've had one good month. Yeah, you've successfully, consistently performed since the minute you joined White & Co. Yeah. And you always have. Yeah. And this is just your PB, but even your personal best before this was still pretty close. Yes. So I don't want to keep going to numbers. It's not a game of trying to throw that into the audience's face. Yeah. But your PB this month might have been 150. I'm sure you've done over 100,000 a couple of months, whatever.
Yeah. Pounds.
Pounds. Yeah. 100,000 pounds a few times. Yeah. And to be earning that level of money, you're not an airline pilot. You're not a doctor. Yeah. You don't have people's lives that could end because of this or anything. You're simply educating people, helping them make the right decision. Yeah. And helping them invest, helping them buy their dream home. Yeah. And you're getting paid that level of money. Exactly. And again, it's sticking to the area. All of these deals that I've done last month, especially, it was all in my area. Yeah. Again, it's just sticking to it, putting yourself in them awkward conversations, believing you're good enough to speak to a buyer that's going to spend 60 million dirhams. Yeah. Having that confidence to do that. Fake it till you make it, just go for it. And, obviously very, very happy, very, very blessed. And, it's a pinch me moment, but nothing changes, nothing that changes. Month's out the way. We start again, back on zero on the first of the month. And then you start again. And, I again, stay humble with it as well. Yeah. Don't change as a person, because, no, you've never been someone to live off last month. So, no, never. It's on to the next one. Never. Which I appreciate. We'll go bigger this month. I'm sure we will. And finally, Jace, just the last question. I sort of put out a bit of wisdom for you to share with any of the audience or with the viewers. What is a statement or a saying that you live by? Yeah, so big fan of quotes, as you found out in this podcast. But biggest one for me is stick around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Okay. And the meaning behind that, again, is, just keep turning up. Keep turning up. Eventually, if you picture it, you sit at a barbershop, there's a queue of 100 people, you'll eventually get a haircut. Yeah. And it's quite a cheesy saying, but it's so true with everything in life. Just keep going, keep at it, keep pushing, and eventually your day will come.
And again, it comes down to the previous question where, you know, if I hadn't put 3 years, 2.5 years into District 1, the area that I cover, the knowledge, that big month that I had last month wouldn't have happened. So yeah, stick around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a cut.
Amazing. Well, that's the end there, Jace. I really appreciate you doing this because I know you're a busy person.
It's all good.
And yeah, I look forward to seeing how it's received. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Cal. Thank you.